In the West, most people seem to generally have a belief that we learn about how the world works through our experiences. And you could say that this is a basic principle of empiricism. What I see happening when people apply this idea in their daily lives is that they have an experience, they learn from it, that that's just how the world works. And then that belief causes them to manifest the same experience again. And the more they have that same or similar experience, the more their belief is reinforced. And that's just how the world works. And they end up in a vicious cycle in which they are repeating a limited experience and becoming ever more accepting of the inevitability of that experience. So you could say this brings them into a state of spiritual stagnation, which is really hard to get out of again. So sometimes it seems to me that the empirical perspective is almost the opposite of the reality shifting or quantum jumping perspective. Do you think that empiricism and reality shifting are incompatible?
Well, they certainly do challenge each other. It's almost, to me, I see it like the yin and the yang, that Asian symbol of the circle with the little curvy shapes inside, each one containing a smaller circle of the opposite color. So it's sometimes depicted in black and white. And it just, so you've got these complementary, very seemingly disparate, seemingly contradictory approaches. The empiricism, as you point out beautifully, I love your question, that it's based on experience, and then somewhere along the line we can get into this sort of a chasing the tail cycle that stagnates, and it kind of goes downward into almost rumination, kind of dwelling on, well, this went wrong. And this gets into how so many people, I love to ask, how good can it get? There's a reason for that, because we need to get a little bit of balance as we start getting into this quantum jumping territory, reality shifting territory. So we can, even if we don't believe that things are all that great right now, we can ask, how good can it get? And it starts to lift us out of the quicksand a little bit. That is an empiricism quicksand. And a lot of scientists have been trained, even the ones that I know that are, I'm not going to name names right now, but they've been trained. And so even if they are, some of them are the hippies who saved physics. These are my friends, these guys that were in that book, how the hippies saved physics. How did they do that? Because they dared to ask, what's really happening with quantum mechanics? What is causing all this? They ask the big questions. I know these guys personally, and some of them have real personal issues, belief blockages to recognize, how can I be witnessing at least one of these quantum jumps every day? And they actually got someone's, I'm not going to say who, but there was a swear word just a knee-jerk exclamation came out. Yeah. And I said, well, it's true for me. And then that person witnessed me observe a coin flip in another talk. And I just commented, well, this won't be any good for me, because I know what that is, a coin flip. So that's going to be tails. It's not really proving the scientist's point that this is a random flip. And then sure enough, it was tails. And then this same gentleman next to me just elbowed me like, can you tell me how you did that? Can you do that again? Can you do a whole string of those? And I laughed and said, it's not really the way it works. Because as soon as it starts turning into something mechanical, there's no interest in it for me. And so this empiricism that it seeks, this mechanistic, repeatable, like, can we do it again? Can we do it 10 times? Can we prove it? That's where it gets boring. And then the part of us who knows, the quantum jumper, the reality shifter, maybe not a saint, but the ones who can create these quantum jumps and miracles, basically, we know that's boring. We don't want to do that. We don't want to go there. So you can start to see that the assumptions that even these hippies who saved physics might be making, this is how ingrained it is in our way of thinking. It's so ingrained in us that only what's matters. And they know better. These are scientists who know better. But they haven't personally witnessed it. And I think it is exactly because of this little cycle you're describing. It's almost a stasis cycle, which kind of locks a person into, you can only get what you think you can get. We can only get what we see. We can't really believe that how good can it get as possible. And that's why I challenge everyone, just ask it anyway. Open that little door, just a crack, no matter how bad it may seem, or how blah it may seem, or how great it may seem. Keep asking, how good can it get? Let that be our habit for all of us to help each other, so that we can really lift all of consciousness. To me, that's my ultimate goal, for all of us to help each other.